and welcome to another edition of Victory Talk Radio here on Victory Radio. And last week I was on location in Winston-Salem, North Carolina for the annual Western Film Fair and Nostalgia Convention. Each year they have that. Great guest this year, and I was honored to be able to interview several people. And we'll start with my interview with Nancy Stafford. And this is John Baldwin, and I am on location this week for Victory Talk Radio at the Western Film Fair in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And it's my honor to talk to Nancy Stafford, who many of you remember from the Matlock TV series. Welcome, Nancy.
Thanks, John. So good to be with you again.
Yes, this is like your third time on my show, I believe.
Yeah, it's great.
Now, I guess I can call you a colleague now because you're going to be doing some work for Victory Television as well, and you've done some interviews here. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we're here at the Western Film Fair, as you said, and I've gotten the joy of being able to interview 4 of our celebrity guests here. So those will appear on Victory Television Network, and it's just real exciting. Fans will be able to kind of watch the show too and see them and hear them both interviewed. So we got to interview Tony Senzamichi, who has done lots of recurring roles on network television shows, and he and I worked together in a movie called Heaven Bound and a pilot for a TV series called The Line, and you'll enjoy getting to know him. And we interviewed Lana Wood, Natalie Wood's sister, a fabulous actress and author, and we interviewed Kathy Garver, who is an absolute delight. You remember her as Sissy from the wonderful series Family Affair, and she's an author and a voiceover talent. And we also got to interview Chief Steve Silverheels, who is the son of Jay Silverheels, who played Tonto in the Lone Ranger series years ago. And Chief has a wonderful career as well. He's co-starred on a Matlock episode that I didn't get to be in, but we share that in common, and he's got a wonderful ministry as well.
Excellent. Now, we often hear the phrase Christmas in July, and you've been in several Christmas movies over the last few years. Tell us about those and how you came to do Christmas movies.
It's one of those things about be careful what you pray for. I love Christmas movies, always have, and I've never done one. So a few years ago, I just prayed, Lord, I'd love to do a Christmas movie. And boom, right away, got a fabulous movie called Christmas with a capital C, which is available on Netflix, and you see it often, and they re-air it every year on television. And then in the next 2 years, I got 2 more Christmas movies, Christmas Oranges the following year, and then last year we did Christmas for $1. And it's a delightful family movie, takes place in the Depression era, sweet, sweet message, has a faith component as well, just a sweet family movie. It has aired on Up and on Lifetime. And we got the joy of screening it here at Western Film Fair to a really very affirming and receptive audience last night.
Awesome. Yeah, I've seen all 3, and they're great. I particularly like the Christmas for $1. That's just a very inspirational, moving movie. And your performance in that is phenomenal.
Oh, thank you. I get to play somebody mean.
That's why it's such an antithesis of what you are like in real life. So that's
Thank you. It's fun.
Now, how did the role of Michelle Thomas come about on Matlock?
I really believe it came about because the season before, season 1 of Matlock, I guest starred on the show. And I was actually a bad person on that show, too. I was actually the person who, I was a high-end call girl, and I perjured myself on the witness stand during the trial, and I framed someone else for murder. So I was really the bad guy. But I loved working on the show, and Andy really liked me, and we had a great rapport. And then a year later, I was shooting at that time Sidekicks, a TV show that was on the ABC Disney Channel. And when my show at the end of that season was canceled, it coincided with Linda Pearl leaving Matlock, so suddenly they needed a female associate. And they remembered me and brought me in to screen test in New York, and that's the way it happened. So I really believe it was because I had that guest starring role the previous year.
Wow. Now, there's a specific episode of Matlock that kind of ties in with Westerns, and it's very funny. I think it's like a dream sequence episode, and tell us a little bit about that.
It's called The Nightmare, and it remains one of my favorite episodes. Yeah, it was a fun show. It was Julie Summers, who plays the prosecutor, and Andy and I and Clarence Gilliard, who plays the detective. We were on a little road trip, and we were walking through this sort of western town. We were just on the way to someplace else. And as soon as we arrived in this sort of ghost town, Andy stepped on a loose board in front of the saloon, and the board comes up and whacks him in the head, and he faints. He goes out, and he blacks out, and he gets this nightmare. So it is a dream sequence. And it transported immediately into the Old West, and all of the characters in the show were different kinds of characters. Julie Summers, who was the prosecutor and Andy's kind of girlfriend, played the very straight-laced, lovely woman who ran the boarding house. And then there were the bad guys and the good guys and the murder. And I played the madam of the local saloon, who again was a bad guy, and I was the one who murdered somebody and held Andy hostage to try to kill him if they reported me.
Yeah,
it was fun.
It's a fun episode. Yeah, I would highly recommend it.
Thank you.
Now, some people may not know you were also Miss Florida at one point, correct?
Yeah, I was. 1976, the bicentennial year. I was Miss Florida in the Miss America pageant. I loved that time. It was my first. I'd never been in pageants before, so my local Fort Lauderdale, then went to Miss Florida, and then went on to Miss America. It was my first experience with that kind of world, and I just loved it. It was great.
Neat. Now, as well as being an actress, you're also a very successful Christian author. Tell us about the books you've written and what inspired you to write them.
I've written 2 books so far, working on another. First one was Beauty by the Book, which is the Bible. Subtitle, Seeing Yourself as God Sees You. And for years and years, I struggled in my own life with feelings of inadequacy and insecurity and unworthiness, and really knowing the truth of who God said I was, not what the world said I was. And so as the Lord began to kind of heal my heart of a warped self-perception and show me the truth that I am chosen and cherished, and He delights in me, and I am clothed in His righteousness, it began to change me. And I thought, gosh, if it's going to change me, maybe it'd change somebody else. So I just began speaking to small groups of women and getting invited to do more and more of that. I began to write a blog. Nowadays they call it a blog. Back then we called it a newsletter. On a TV show I was shooting at the time, it was a fashion trends show on CBS called Main Floor. And the editors said, we're going to do a companion website as we do the show. Why don't you start writing whatever you want? And I said, really? I can write what I want? They said, yeah.
Wow.
So I started writing about what real beauty is from the inside out. And in this very secular environment, I was able to paraphrase scripture and say, a wise man once said, and got to talk about the issues that really make a person truly beautiful. And it began to have a huge readership, and people loved it. A Christian publisher began reading Nancy's notebook, called me up and said, oh my gosh, you need to write a book. And I said, oh, no, there's a million books out there. He says, no, you have a fresh voice, you see things very differently, you need to write a book. For 6 months he tried to convince me, and finally what got it was this. He said, Nancy, you're already going around talking to women. How many women can you talk to at a time? I said, I don't know, maybe 300. He said, books multiply ministry. You have a heart for women. Get this book out there so more people can get this truth. And that's what convinced me. So I wrote that book, and then several years later wrote my second book, which is The Wonder of His Love, A Journey into the Heart of God, which is really all about understanding, embracing, and receiving God's enormous love for us, which was another of my own personal struggles. So I write what I need.
Yes.
I figure if I need it, maybe somebody else does.
That's true, yes. And you're also involved with a wonderful organization that does ministry work overseas. It's very exciting, called SAT7. Tell us about that. Thank you. SAT7 is, I think, revolutionary. It's one of the most invisible and unknown and impactful ministries I know of, and I think one of the most strategic ministries in the world. Satellite television that broadcasts Christian programming, indigenous Christian programming, that is presented by, created by, produced by, and performed by Christians for Christians who are living in the Middle East and North Africa. We're not importing any Westerners. You're not going to see, as fabulous as she is, Joyce Meyer is not dubbed into Arabic. You're not going to see Charles Stanley dubbed into Farsi. You're seeing Christians who actually live in the region who are, solidly based and foundationally strong in their faith, who are creating all these programs. And we've got kids programs and women's programs and
families and Bible studies and movies and dramas, teaching. So it's amazing. It's SAT7, and there are 5 channels in 4 languages, and it's having an enormous impact in the Muslim world. 15 million people a week are watching SAT7, and they do it in the brilliance of this delivery system, in the privacy of their own home. They're watching things that come directly from the satellite into their home that can't be jammed, can't be censored by the government, and in the privacy and security of their house, they're actually hearing the good news of Jesus Christ. And it's having amazing impact. And about a year and a half ago, one of the executives at SAT7 and I began brainstorming about women. We love women. We want the women to know who they are. And who more in the world needs to know their value and worth than women in the Middle East? They are so marginalized and so objectified, and they're considered property. They have absolutely no value whatsoever there in their culture. So SAT7 is already doing tremendous women's programming, telling them who they are in Christ. It's phenomenal what they're doing. But we wanted to do more. So we have created a women's initiative called SAT7 Women for Middle East Hope. And we've created 2 study guides that are phenomenal, that you can take small groups through, or you can use for your own study. We're traveling around the country and introducing this to women in the West, so that we can come alongside, link arms, and do whatever we can to help generate more awareness, more information. And then the hope then is, as women in the West become more aware of what's happening to our sisters in the Middle East, we'll find our own creative ways to help. Maybe it's pray. Maybe it's take a trip with us, a vision trip over to that region and see what goes on over there, meet some Christians there. Maybe it's figuring out how you and your own little community can maybe raise some funds and help dedicate some money to more women's programming. We're sort of leaving it in a very organic way of how women here want to help, because we know, especially American women, when they see a need, they want to help fill it. So womenformiddleeasthope.org is the website, and you can find out all about it.
Oh, and how can people find out more about you?
My website is the perfect place at nancystafford.com, and I'm also found on Facebook, so I'd just love to interact with anybody.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your time. You are just a lovely person, inside and out, and I think it's wonderful, all the work you're doing for the Lord. It's inspiring.
Oh, thank you, John. I would say the same about you. You're
thank
doing
you.
A wonderful job.
And we're colleagues now,
yes,
so
we're
going to the same goal. But thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Joey.
And up next is my interview with my good friend Dr. Fred Eichelman, who I interviewed recently for the show. And he is a avid Western fan, and I got to catch up with him at the convention. And this is John Baldwin. We're at the Western Film Fair, and I'm talking with Dr. Fred Eichelman, who is yours. Tell us about your involvement in the Western Film Fair and why you feel it's important.
Well, for me, it is important because the people who put it on are very family-orientated, and they have a goal similar to my own goal, is to support and help in any way we can, not just faith-based films, but particularly family films in general, with the old values that Westerns had. And I've been coming now for about 10 years. I'd never been to a Western convention before, but I've found it's always been like a reunion here. The staff, there's people that come every year, including new people too. In fact, this year I say it'll probably be one of their best attended years ever, because we've been helping promote them on Facebook and every way that we can.
And how many years have they been putting on the Western Film Fair? It's been quite a few, hasn't it?
This is the 38th.
Wow.
It began in Memphis, and then it was in Charlotte, and the last few years here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
And most of the people here, they kind of, and you yourself have a love for Western. What is it about Westerns that just it seems to attract people?
I think it's a family value. In fact, there was an old Hopalong Cassidy movie I watched, where in it he was encouraging people to go to church. And of course, grace before the meals and things of this sort are pretty common. And yes, you had the gunfights and the good guys and bad guys, just like in life. We have certain things that we have to face. The bad guys we face may not be a fellow all dressed in black with a couple pistols on his side. It may well be a financial problem or a family problem or something else. And we have to, and I think in the old films, they were not afraid to say, put their faith in God or what they believe. One of the most Christian films I can remember was the first one ever produced by John Wayne, who was already a big star in the 40s, The Angel and the Bad Man. But there was a definite moral to it, and it's been used in Bible studies.
Now, of all the Westerns you've seen, do you have a favorite or two?
Oh, that's a rough question. I guess because she's on a board with us for Point North Outreach, Rhonda Fleming Westerns like Gunfight at the OK Corral and Gun Glory have been pretty favorites, but there's just so many. I even like the comedies. I love Paleface with Bob Hope, and Son of Paleface that had Bob and Roy Rogers. I'm a Roy Rogers fan, a very Christian, very fine man, and so it's really hard for me to pin it down. My answer now might not be the answer I'd give you, maybe half an hour after thinking. But it's the stars that I like John Wayne, Roy Rogers, Jimmy Stewart, very family-oriented man, and so many people like that. It's amazing. One of the things that makes this show interesting is that the people who come, it's pretty sure today, most of them are not what you class say as Western stars, but probably most of them have been at least one or two or several Westerns on TV or film.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned a minute ago Point North Tidings. Tell us about your wonderful publication and where our listeners can sign up for it.
Well, Point North Outreach is a Christian media organization designed to promote faith films and family films, and its main publication is Point North Tidings, which goes out free on the net. People just need to send their email to us, and they can send it to me. It's Dr. Eichelman, teaching doctor, not the kind that makes money. It's DREICHELMAN@yahoo.com.
All right, well, thank you for your time, and thanks for all you do for the Western Film Fair.
Thank you for having me.
From the James Bond movie Diamonds Are Forever, here's Wood, Lana Wood. Right now we're going to talk with Lana Wood. First of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How are you enjoying the fair so far?
I love it. I'm having a wonderful time.
Kind of takes you back in time, doesn't it, talking to all these people?
It does, and it's wonderful to meet the fans and talk to them and get to know them. But it's also wonderful to meet people that I've worked with that I don't see that often that are invited as well. It's terrific.
A lot of people said that. It's kind of like a reunion type of thing.
Absolutely. It's a party.
Party, yeah.
It's a party.
Right. Well, what famous role did you play in the Bond series?
Oh, I was Plenty O'Toole in Diamonds Are Forever.
That's a great movie. Tell us a little bit about that movie, how your role came about in that.
How did my role come about? The writer of the script, Tom Mankiewicz, called me and said, would I meet with Guy Hamilton and Cubby Broccoli, that there's a role in this film, in the Bond film, that he thinks I would be perfect for, and he'd really like me to do it, but I have to be approved by the director and producer.
Right.
And he said, look tall, which is great, because I'm 5'2". But so I got all dressed up and went out on it was on the 20th Century Fox lot, met with Guy and Cubby, and had a nice visit, not terrifically long. 2 days later, I was leaving to go back east to do another film, and I got a phone call, and they said they adore you and they want you to be in the film. And I said, that's fantastic, I'll do it. And that was it.
And there's a famous scene in the movie that you're thrown into a pool, right?
Yes.
From how many stories up? I forgot now. Several stories up, wasn't it?
The first shot was on the first floor, so it was one story that I was thrown out of a one-story window. And then the second shot they did was a 10-foot platform that they had built with a nice big stuntman on it, and I stood on his shoulders, and he pushed me upwards so that they would get the right angle. So then the 16 feet I fell was me.
Right. Wow. How scary was that?
It wasn't scary, but it wasn't pleasant. And I came up out of the water and got on the on the side of the pool and everything. They said, we're going to have to do that again. I'm like, oh, dang. Because then they had to dry my hair, set my hair, reapply my makeup, and we had to start all over again. So it's time-consuming.
Yeah. Well, your career is focused more on TV. What were some of the TV roles you played?
Oh, my goodness. I've been in over 300 TV shows. I did every TV show around. Police Story used to hire me constantly. I did a series called The Long Hot Summer. I did a series called Peyton Place. I was in Nero Wolfe. I was in Beretta. I was in The Wild Wild West. I was in Fantasy Island. I was in, you name it, I was on it. A lot of television, a lot of television, and films for television. QB7 with Anthony Hopkins and Ben Gazzara. Blackwater Gold with Keir Dullea and Ricardo Montalban. There again, I mean, I could just go on and on and on, but you can get it all. You can get a full list on imdb.com.
What was it like to work with Ricardo Montalban? He always seems so refined and dignified.
I adore him, and Georgianne, I love him. They're a lovely couple, beautiful people, very, very nice. Yeah. Really, really lovely people.
I remember when I was growing up and seeing him on Fantasy Island, and then I saw him in The Wrath of Khan as an evil guy. I'm like, that's the same guy that's Mr. Rourke? I mean,
yeah, it's called acting.
That's right. He was so good as an evil character though in that.
Yeah. So. Evil characters are fun to play. Yeah.
Have you ever played evil characters?
Oh, yeah.
I've talked to other people before that said that it's fun to play evil character because there's no limits to what you can do. You
exactly.
Can just, and you can do. Whereas a good guy is always limited by having to be the knight in shining armor and that kind of thing.
I guess I suffered from the opposite. I never got cast as the girl next door. I remember calling up my agents at one point, very big, very powerful agency, and I said to the guy in charge of me, to Jack Gilardi, he was married to Annette Funicello. I said, Jack, why am I not playing the girl next door? And he literally said to me, quote, verbatim, if you're the girl next door, you live in a very racy neighborhood. So he was trying to tell me that I was not going to ever get those roles.
Wow.
Yeah. I did a wonderful Felony Squad. I don't know if you remember that show.
I've heard of it.
Yeah. Yes. Great show. Richard Dreyfuss and I were guest stars on it, and it was called The Last Man on Earth. And it was about this girl who has stolen all this money, and she's hiding out in a hotel and using this bellhop for her purposes until her boyfriend shows up and she can get away with the money. And obviously that's the role I played. But and Richard Dreyfuss was the bellhop. And at the end of the show, when the police come in, they arrest me. And Richard Dreyfuss is shot, and he's dying on the ground. Mm-hmm. And the police say to me, go over there and say a few words to him. He's going to die. So they lead me over there, and they walk away, and I lean over him and smile, and I say, I wouldn't have gone away with you if you were the last man on earth. Oh, wow. So that's how evil she was. Starsky and Hutch. I played a lot of bad guys on Starsky and Hutch, too.
Wow. Now, you've also written an autobiography, correct?
Yes.
Tell us the name of that, and can people get
Actually, it's a memoir, and it's called Natalie, a Memoir, and it's about Natalie and I growing up together, my sister and I.
Wow, that sounds sweet.
Yeah.
So, now, where can other folks get information about you online? Do you have a website or Facebook page?
I don't have a website. I'm on Facebook, but I think they won't allow me to have any more friends. They have a 5,000 friend limit kind of thing. imdb.com. I mean, if you just want information about what I'm doing.
Right.
But, I don't have a website.
That's okay.
I will someday, maybe.
Yeah. And from our conversation earlier, you have several pets and animals. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, I'm very, very avid animal lover. I have 9 dogs and 22 cats.
Oh, wow. And we saw
3 grandchildren.
Oh, wow. And we were looking at some of the pictures earlier.
Yes.
They were adorable.
Thank you.
Tell us, you showed me a picture earlier where you were with a tiger. Tell us about
leopard.
With a leopard, yes.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
I was doing, or I think I'd finished doing Peyton Place. An Italian magazine called me and said, could they take pictures of me for their magazine? Very nice magazine. I said, absolutely. And the photographer then called and said, are you okay with animals? I said, yeah, I'm great. I love animals. And he said, big cats. I said, yeah, fine. He showed up with a leopard and the leopard's dog. It was traveling with a chocolate lab. They were best friends. So everywhere that the dog went, then the leopard would go.
Wow.
So yeah, I've got pictures of me walking him down the street, lying next to him by the swimming pool, up in my living room, hugging him, rubbing his tummy. I've got all kinds. They're wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
That's amazing. So
it's something I'll always remember dearly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Lana, so much for your time, and hope you enjoy the rest of your time here at the Western Film Fair.
I know I will.
All right. You're welcome. And that was the theme for the TV show High Chapparal. And in my journeys at the Western Film Fair, I came across Henry Darrow, one of the stars of the show, so let's have a conversation with him. And it's my honor at this time to talk to Henry Darrow, who has been on many Westerns and different TV shows. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Well, how did you get your start in acting? That's a pretty interesting story in itself.
Well, I was a kid in New York, and we kept moving from place to place, street to street, from 30th to 106th, and 177th, 78th, and every time I'd wind up having to go into the auditorium. And one time, one of my aunts took me to school, and they were doing a play, and they needed somebody to be a woodcutter, and I filled in.
Oh, cool.
And that started, I think I was about 7 or 8.
All right. Now, you went to acting school in Puerto Rico, correct? They have a school down there.
At the university there. Actually, I was in my 3rd year of political science when I won a scholarship for acting, and I could have gone to the neighborhood playhouse in New York or the Pasadena Playhouse in Pasadena. And I chose Pasadena, California, because it was only about 20 miles from Hollywood.
Wow, that's a good choice.
Yeah.
Well, I know on your website, most people associate you with, and I hope I pronounced this right, Manolito Montoya from High Chapparal.
Montoya, yeah, exactly.
How did that role come about, and what was it like working on that show?
Oh, it was a delight and a pleasure. It was the highlight of my career to be in that series. And the interview was with David Dortort, who was the producer of Bonanza at the time. It was just a delight.
And you also got to play Zorro, too, in several different incantations of the show. Tell us about that.
I did the animation of Zorro a long time ago. Then I played Zorro in a half-hour sitcom. The best episode was the last episode we filmed. I think there were 6. The worst, unfortunately, was the pilot.
Oh.
And so it didn't last long.
Wow.
And plus, I think we were opposite that show where the teenagers was the actor with was a Bionic Man or something.
Oh, the $6 Million Man or Bionic Man?
$6 Million Man.
Yeah.
We lost out fast on that one.
Yeah.
And then I played Zorro's father in Spain for 3 years, called the New Zorro. And that was fun because I didn't have to carry the show, and he'd come in and do 2 or 3 little nice scenes and have fun and enjoy being scouting around Madrid.
Yeah, neat. You also got to, you were in a couple of different of the Star Trek series. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, I was in Voyager, a couple of episodes. Star Trek with, not Shatner,
the Next Generation with Picard.
Yeah, who was the actor?
Jonathan Stewart.
Jonathan Stewart, yeah. That was fun. I had a good time doing that.
You played an admiral on that one, I believe.
Yeah, Admiral Savar of Vulcan.
Wow, cool. Is it funner playing bad guys? Is it?
Oh yeah, bad guys are much worse.
Because you can do anything you want, pretty much, can't you?
Well, yeah, you can sort of sneak along and do your stuff. Hey, I'll sign that.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about this great book you've written called Lightning in a Bottle. I understand it's won some awards as well.
Yes, it won some awards for a biography, and Jan Pippins, who wrote it, she said I helped her out because I saved every paper magazine interview that I did and was able to hand them over to her, and she was able to use it and stuff like that. And then there were photos from way back, different pictures that she used in the book. So it turned out well.
Great. And also, I hope I pronounced this right. You're the founder of an organization called Nosotros.
Yeah,
Tell us about
I
that.
was the vice president of that, first vice president. The president was Ricardo Montalban.
Ah.
And Rick we started in 1970. We had a big affair at the Hollywood Bowl in Hollywood to raise money and raise funds for young Hispanic actors and actresses. I don't know if the organization still exists, but that's been a long time.
Wow. Wonderful. And your book is available at your website, henrydarrowbook.com, and also available on Amazon, correct?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, Henry. This has been a pleasure getting to meet you.
Gracias, amigo.
Captain's Log, Stardate 2015-07.09. My search for the Gorgon has taken me to the Western Film Fair in Winston-Salem, where I encountered Pamelyn Ferdin, a.k.a. Mary, last seen talking to the Gorgon on the bridge of the Enterprise in 1969.
And this is John Baldwin. We're at the Western Film Fair, and it's my honor to talk to Pamelyn Ferdin, who was, you might remember from the Star Trek episode, And the Children Shall Lead. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Well, how you liking the Western Film Fair so far?
It's great. The people are so nice. They're friendly, and I've really enjoyed my time here.
Well, tell us about the role of Mary on Star Trek and how that came about.
Well, I was interviewed with a bunch of other little girls to be the lead in the original Star Trek episode called The Children Shall Lead, and I was lucky enough to get the role, and I had a fantastic time playing Mary Janowski on The Children Shall Lead. Everybody was so nice to me, and especially Bill Shatner. He was just so nice because I pestered him. I had such a crush on him that I would follow him everywhere, and he finally got the hint that this little girl had a crush on him. So he took the time to talk to me, and he asked me to marry him, and we came up with an engagement date, and he gave me a little cigar band.
Wow.
So it was really wonderful.
That is wonderful. And there's one scene where you got to jump into his arm and you were acting like a bee, trying to sting him, right? Yeah.
Right, exactly.
So that was just a wonderful moment. Now, here's the big question. Do you remember the chant that the children used to do to summon the Gorgon?
Yes.
Can you recite it for us?
Yes.
Okay.
Hail, hail, fire and snow, call the angel, we will go. Far away, far to see, friendly angel, come to me.
Who has summoned me? Of course, the other one, death to you all, to you all, to you all. So, well, in addition to Star Trek, you were on some of the most popular shows of the day. The Brady Bunch, you had a part on there, the Andy Griffith Show, Gunsmoke, Green Acres. You've had quite an opportunity back then. Tell us about some of those shows.
Well, I was probably the most ubiquitous child and teen actor in the 60s and 70s. I was on everything. That was when, obviously, there were 3 channels, and so everybody watched most of the same shows, and I think that's why so many people remember me, because they all grew up watching the same shows that you and I grew up watching, and that was Green Acres, The Odd Couple, The Brady Bunch, Mannix, The Flying Nun, and I just went from one show to the other. I was working constantly, and in fact I was working so much that I couldn't go to regular school. they had a welfare worker on the set. And so I would go to school in a little trailer that was right off the sound stage. And that's how I went to school.
Interesting. Now, my wife wanted me to ask you, because my wife is a huge Mannix fan. She wanted to know what it was like to work with Mike Connors.
Well, Mike Connors was lovely. He was so genuinely kind. And you know, it's interesting. I think because as a young girl, I was a pro because I had been in the business since I was 4. So I felt like I was a peer to everybody, and they treated me like a peer, even though they were, I think, obviously a little bit nicer to me because I was a child, but they expected me to know my lines, they expected me to do a good job, and I think they were impressed because I worked so hard to do a good job and to know my lines and to hit my mark. And I never fooled around on the set. I never cut up, or I never did anything but was polite and did my job. And I think they appreciated that.
Right. Now, one of my favorite scenes, I love the Star Trek, but in the Andy Griffith Show, you really don't have a line. You just come in, like, I know the episode is Warren has arrested all the women for gambling. It's a bingo gambling or something, and your dad brings you in, all you do is cry. Rah! I mean, that is funny.
Right.
It's really funny.
Right.
So, did you get to talk to Andy Griffith any, as far as just having conversation off the set?
You know, I was so young when I did that. I remember meeting him and watching him, but I don't remember any conversations I had with him. Now, Ron Howard, I remember because I did a lot of different things with Ronnie Howard. I did Smoke, which was a Walt Disney movie of the week with Ron Howard, and so I knew him well growing up.
Great. Now, one thing I learned that I did not know is you've done extensive voiceover work, especially in the Peanuts movie series. Tell us about those.
Yes, I loved doing Lucy and Peanuts. It was wonderful. The director, the actors who I was acting with, we were a family, and it was a lot of fun. Doing Lucy on Peanuts was definitely one of the highlights of my entire acting career.
Now, you were in, I know, the boy named Charlie Brown. What were the other two you were in? I can't remember off the top of my head.
Charlie Brown Goes to Camp, and, you know, I'm blanking on the others. It's funny, I don't remember a lot of the names of the shows I did, the series, because I worked so much and I was doing so many different things that on my Facebook fan page, which is Pamelyn Ferdin Forever, I have a Facebook fan page that a group of people do, and they remember things that I was in that I don't even remember I was in.
Wow. And I think the fans will like that, because I do that a lot. I'll be talking to actors or actors, and I don't remember I was in that. And I'm like, you know, because we tend to have photographic memories, it seems like, from our childhood. I mean, I can tell you stuff that I saw 40 years ago, but if you asked me what happened last week, I couldn't remember. So, you know, it's just like one of those things. But tell us again, you just talked about that. What's your Facebook, and do you have a website as well?
Yeah, it's Pamelyn Ferdin, Pamelyn, Ferdin, Ferdin.com, and then I have a Facebook page, but there's also a fan Facebook page that's really interesting called Pamelyn Ferdin Forever.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Being a Star Trek fan, that was really a thrill for me to be able to talk to Pamelyn Ferdin, who was on the show. Very delightful person to talk to. One of the neat things about the Western Film Fair and Nostalgia Convention is that a lot of the people have been coming for decades, not years, but decades. And here's one of those gentlemen now, and his name is Jim Spencer. And I'm talking now with one of the faithful people who attends these events every year, Jim Spencer. Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
Good. You?
I'm doing fine. Now, I've been coming for several years now, and I see you here every year. How many years have you been coming to the Western Film Fair?
This will be my 30th time.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. You obviously love Western.
I come now because I got friends here, and I like the old movies.
Yeah. Well, you definitely come to the right place. I mean, there are so many movies up there that I couldn't even begin to tell you about.
Right.
So, did you grow up watching Westerns?
Oh, yeah. Among other things.
Yeah.
Like whatever Dad liked, we liked.
That's right. Great. Well, what's some of your favorite Westerns, either movies or TV shows?
Oh, the Gene Autry and Roy Rogers movies.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as for television, it's generally whatever's on at that current season.
Right. Well, neat. Well, thank you for visiting with us, Jim, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your time here at the Western Film Fair.
I always do.
Well, look who I just ran into. It's Fearless Fife and Thelma Lou. How are you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing just great, John. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you, Thelma Lou?
I'm doing wonderful.
This event's pretty big, ain't it, Barn?
Big ain't the word for it.
I tell you, you've been around talking to all the ladies over there?
Oh, yeah, shaking ladies' hand, getting a little close to them.
Kissing the babies.
Kissing the babies.
You beat everything, you know that?
If you got it, you might as well flaunt it, I say.
That's right, that's right. When's the gold shipment coming through anyway?
Just any time now. $7 million.
Barney Fife, you're not supposed to tell that.
Cold. I said cold. I said nothing about gold.
You and me and Laura Lee Hobbs, we're going to go meet the gold truck.
Who can you trust these days? Who can you trust?
Yeah, you tell me. And this is Ronnie Felker and his wife Elease, who go to different churches and present the gospel through the message of Fearless Fife and Thelma Lou. Tell us a little bit about your ministry.
Well, John, it all started at our home church. We had no idea this would ever become anything. Our pastor asked us, I want you to do a Barney Fife skit. So I asked the pastor, I said, you sure you want me to do that? So we did it. And that was in 2007, and now we're doing it about every week now. We've been about 7-8 states, and we do a Mayberry cruise every year. And we do just any kind of event. It don't have to be a church event. It could be a festival, anything. And I bring old Thelma Lou along for the men can have somebody to look at, kind of parody.
Yeah.
She's a doll.
That's right. And you take care of him, right?
Of course, he can't take care of himself.
Yeah.
We even go down the street and we like to eat.
That's right. We ate dinner last night, and you made her pay for her part of the meal.
Well, I left a quarter down on the table.
Oh, okay. What'd you have for breakfast there, Barney?
Oh, it was a stack of wheats, eggs over easy, bacon on the crisp side, stuff like that.
Yeah. They didn't make the eggs runny or anything.
No, I don't like my eggs runny. I told her, I said, don't make the eggs runny.
Yeah.
But I can tell you a little bit more about our ministry. What we do is we usually do these little funny skits, and Thelma Lou kind of plays a straight lady, and I kind of play the funny guy.
Right.
And we do little skits, and then we get people out of the audience. We may get an Aunt Dee, we may get a Floyd or Gomer and Goober, and tell a little story about them. And then at the end, about the last 10 minutes, we do like a little sermonette, you may call it, and the day's values and how it was back then and how it is today. And we love meet and greet people out on the street at the festivals and stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's how we met John Baldwin, I think.
Yes, I heard he's a good guy.
Yeah. He ain't much to look at, but he's all right.
One of the best.
That's why he's on radio.
Yeah, he can hear.
And y'all
salt of the earth. That's what he is.
That's right. Thank you. Well, where are y'all going to be in the near future?
Well, tomorrow we'll be at the Coon Dog Day Festival in Saluda, North Carolina. And then we go to a couple of churches on Sunday. I don't know exactly where they're at, but I'll know when the GPS tells me. But we'll take a little break after a few weeks. We got some churches next week to do. And then in October we go on our Mayberry cruise. And it's just different venues, all kind of stuff. Some people call us at the last minute and say, can you squeeze us in a day? And some people, they book a year in advance. So anywhere old Barn can show up, Thelma Lou will be there.
And sing along with Barn.
Sing along with Barn. Capella. I don't know the words to it,
Well, he just can't sing.
He's a great guy, but he can't sing.
He's a wonderful, warm human being, but he just can't sing.
Well, y'all going to be at Mayberry Days too, right?
Mayberry Days, yeah. We're going to be there with rubbing shoulders with some of the big stars up there. kind of like today, got these big stars there.
Yeah, big.
Like Nancy Stafford, Matlock's girl, and stuff like that. Even Uncle Sam, we seen him today.
That's right. Yeah, he's right over there right now.
I got a bone to pick with Uncle Sam.
Why is that?
Well, he's letting the economy kind of drop. He's not doing his fair show, but he's doing the best he can, I guess.
Yeah. Now, do y'all want to do one of your quick skits for us?
Well, we can. You just name it, and we'll do it.
Well, which one do you want to do? Which one's kind of a short one you can do that's really good?
How about
the preamble?
Preamble, yeah. We just had the 4th of July.
Yeah. All right. Well, do you remember the preamble to the Constitution, Barney?
Do I remember it, John? I mean, it's like a piece of cake. I did it in the 3rd grade. I still remember every line to it, John.
All right. Well, let's hear it.
All right, Tom. Hold the book over there. Let's see. Can we do a little bit of the preamble?
I'm ready when you are.
All right. The Constitution of the United States. You kind of help me out there, Thelma,
We?
We. Are you sure?
Well, that's what it says in the book.
We. Maybe the second word.
The.
We the
people.
I thought you wanted to kiss her. She's poking up her lips, John. We the people. We the people. We the people. We the people. Of. We the people of.
The.
United. Flag. Breeze. Wind. Wave. Stars. States. We the people of the United States.
In order. To form. A more perfect
you.
Yeah.
Union. Yeah.
Establish. No, Barn.
Establish.
Tis. Ensure. Domestic. Tranquility. Provide. For the common. Defense. Promote. The general. Welfare. And secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America. Well, Barney, that wasn't bad, but you think you need to run through it again? You think you got it?
I got it. Once you learn it, John. Piece of cake.
That was good. We got to sing a couple of songs here. Barn. Always sing along with Barn. How about Old Church in the Wildwood?
Yeah, we sing a little Church in the Wildwood.
All right. You want me to start us out on the right key?
Yeah. I'll let you lead, John. Huh?
There's a church in the valley by the wildwood, no lovelier place in the dale. No place is so dear to my childhood as the little brown church in the vale. Oh, come to the church in the wildwood. Oh, come to the church in the vale. No place is so dear to my childhood as the little brown church in the vale.
Well, thank you, John. Miss Poultice, she's my voice teacher. That's how come I sing as good as I do.
I heard she gave you an A in breathing.
Yeah.
Me, they,
wow, you. Voice exercise.
That's right. Do you know how long you been ailing?
That's not funny, John. That's the best thing to do, Being facetious, that's what you are.
That's right. I'm Nave, aren't I?
Yeah, Nave. Oh, it's over his head. He didn't get it. It's over his head.
You know the words to the Mayberry Union High song?
Oh yeah, we know that way back at Mayberry Union High. Me and O'Hange went there.
All right, here we go. Mayberry Union High. Mayberry Union High, victory is yours. Well nigh will hit the line 4 points every time. The orange and blue will try. And when the victory's won, you'll be our native son. Proud wave your banner in the sky. Mayberry Union High. Kind of gets to you a little bit, don't it? Do the tears on your pillows bespeak the pain that's in your heart?
It sure does, John.
Me too.
I cried a drop of a hat.
Me too.
And that's my good buddy Ronnie Felker and his wife Elease, who are doing great work for the Lord through the characters of Barney Fife and Thelma Lou. Very inspiring. Now, how many remember this theme song? Yes, that is the theme for Family Affair, which ran from 1966 to 1971. And up next is my conversation with Kathy Garver, who played Sissy on Family Affair. And again, this is John Baldwin, and we're at the Western Film Fair, and it's my honor right now to talk to Kathy Garver, who many of you know from the wonderful show Family Affair. She played Sissy on the show. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much, John. I'm delighted to speak with you.
Well, how are you enjoying the Western Film Fair so far?
I love it. It's like a reunion to me, almost like a family reunion, because I've been to the Western Film Fair previously, and also I've gone to Asheville and North Carolina. So, and I've seen a lot of the people that I met there. So it's like, how are you doing, and what are you doing now? So it's really a very warm atmosphere.
Well, I noticed I was doing some research on your different roles. You actually had a part in the 10 Commandments. Tell us a little bit about that.
That was one of my first roles, and it's really great to start out with Charlton Heston and God. And you know this movie is going to have a longevity since it's kind of based on the Bible.
Right. Awesome. And how did the role of Sissy in Family Affair come about?
Well, they had previously cast Brian Keith as Uncle Bill and Sebastian Cabot as his nanny, we would call him today, and Anissa Jones as Buffy, and they wanted to have a boy at 10 years old, but when Brian Keith had seen Johnny Whitaker in The Russians Are Coming movie, he said, oh, here's somebody perfect that could be a twin to Anissa. So the twins were born. So everyone was cast except me. So they needed a blonde, blue-eyed teenager. Well, now, you looking at me right now, John, see that my eyes are brown. And I had brown hair at the time. So I said, well, what are we going to do about this? I was at UCLA, and my mom rushed over, and she sprayed my hair with this substance called Streaks and Tips, and I came out with a golden helmet that if you pressed on my hair, you would either get stuck there or it would not. This, of course, is all in my book coming out, Surviving Sissy, My Family Affair of Life in Hollywood, and I explain how I went to the producer, and we are chatting, and he said, what's the matter with your hair? I said, my hair? He said, yes, it's turning green. I said, well, we chatted a little while, broke the ice, and rest is history.
Wow. Now, what is it about the show that you think is still so endearing to people over all these years later?
It has a real classic theme, I believe, and that's why it became a classic. We had fabulous writers and directors that, two directors, that had come from the big screen, that had done Abbott and Costello and the Bob Hope shows, and that were so talented. So they wrote our scripts, and it was on film. And the theme is never-ending and will always be with us, because our theme was primarily about love, and that never grows old.
Exactly. And Brian Keith was always... You know, when I think of Brian Keith, I think of Hardcastle McCormick and the rough character. When I watched that show, he was so gentle and loving with the kids. It was just such a great thing to see.
He went through, I think, a lot of different cycles, and there was a time when he was known as the manly man, and he did, you know, the Mountain Men with Charlton Heston, and then he started to do, like with Six You Get Egg Rolls with Doris Day, and showed his comedic side. And then when he did The Parent Trap, then they saw, you know, how funny he was and how good he was with kids. So, and at that time, he had like 4 kids. And so that was like his familial side. So then, after he got his divorce, and then he got older, and then he got a little bitter, he turned into a, manly, grumpy old man.
Right.
But always lovable.
Yeah. Now, you just did different voices, Ellen. You do a lot of voiceovers for different shows, too. Tell us about some of those.
Well, I've done like 5 animated series. One was Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, where I played the voice of Firestar and Angelica Jones and Dixie Steiner, and also in an anime, JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. But I also record a lot of books. I've done over 60 audiobooks, a lot of which are available on Amazon.com, or you just Google Kathy Garver, Kathygarver. You'll come up with all of these works, as well as my new book and the other one that I wrote, which was the Family Affair Cookbook.
And I understand y'all cook at home from that cookbook sometimes.
Yes, we do. My son, I hate to admit, is even a better cook than me. I mean, I'm going around measuring everything. He's throwing in this, throwing in that, and it all comes out beautifully.
Well, wonderful. Now, personally for me, my favorite Western was The Big Valley, and you had a role on one of theirs. I think it was called I forget the name now.
The Royal Road. I'll help you out, John.
Yes. Tell us a little bit about what it was like to work with the cast of Big Valley.
Well, it was wonderful. I didn't work with everybody on there. I worked primarily with Peter Breck, and the other guest star was Sajid Khan, who was a big Indian star. And then he went on to do Maya with Dennis the Menace's Jay North. And they shot right next door to us at CBS Studio Center, so that was a breeze. It just went next door and filmed it. And then we went on location. I rode the horses and got mud fighting, and it was an exciting episode.
I forgot about the mud fighting. Yeah, that's an interesting part of that episode. What are some of the awards you've been honored with?
Well, I just got a Lifetime Achievement Award, and my son says, "Mom, you can't get that. You're not dead yet." I said, "Thank you, honey, but it's okay." So I've actually now gotten 2 Lifetime Achievements, and I've gotten the Family Award for the Best Actress in a TV Family Show. And hopefully continue to get, and I've won like 4 Audis. Audis is an award for the spoken word for my audiobooks. I'll tell you a short story. I also direct audiobooks, and I directed Amy Tan in Saving Fish for Drowning, one of her very popular, successful books. So we were both nominated for the award, and I called her and I said, "Amy, isn't this great? We were nominated for and won the Audie." And she said, "Yeah, but when they first called, I thought I'd won a car." No cars, but lots of accolades.
That is funny. One of the current projects you're working on that I'm fascinated by is a revival of Twilight Zone, but it's not TV, it's radio, right?
That's right. My friend Carl Amari in Chicago got the rights for the original TV series to make them into radio presentations, audio radio theater. And so he took them, and they are fabulous scripts. We've recorded them. I recorded 5. Stacy Keach played Rod Serling's part, and he introduces them, and I actually did one of the episodes with Stacy called The Fever with the slot machines. So that was, it's at twilightzoneradio.com is where you can get them.
That is awesome. And you've done some musicals recently too, right? Or a musical?
Yes, I just did the River Song, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, and we premiered that in Tennessee. But the exciting news about that is we're going to take it to Hannibal, Missouri, where Mark Twain wrote so many of his fabulous classic books, and Tom Sawyer included. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Awesome. And tell us again, where can people find out about you online? Do you have a website and a Facebook page or anything like that?
I do. My webpage is www.kathygarver, KathyGarver.com. My Facebook is Kathy Garver. My Twitter is Coco Gigi. And call me up anytime.
Okay.
I won't give out the number, but hey, there's contact in all those places.
I got to tell you, earlier today, somebody came up from behind you and called you sissy, and you turned around. So I guess you're used to that, aren't you?
Once a sissy, always a sissy.
Well, thank you so much, Kathy. I look forward to talking to you again in the future.
Thank you, John.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed all these live interviews that we did at the Western Film Fair last week in Winston-Salem. I very much enjoyed it and was honored to talk to so many wonderful people. Before I go, I want to remind you that if you want to find out more about Victory Talk Radio, we're on Facebook, on facebook.com/Victory Talk Radio. And please like us while you're there. So until next week when we meet again, here's Roy Rogers and Dale Evans, and happy trails to you.
Happy trails, happy trails to you, until we meet again. Happy trails to you, keep smiling until then. Who cares about the clouds when we're together?
Just sing a song and bring the sunny weather.
Happy trails to you, till we meet again. Happy trails to you, until we meet again. Happy trails to you, keep smiling until then. Who cares about the clouds when we're together?
Just sing a song and bring the sunny weather.
Happy trails to you, till